I'm going to make this very favorite recipe, chocolate chess pie. It's from a cookbook called the Tides Lodge Cookbook that was a wedding gift to me over 36 years ago. This is one of the rare times I pull out my old sifter. Instead of pre-made pie crust from the store, I'm going to make a no-roll pie crust. And here is the recipe for the no-roll pastry shell. I just love this. You sift flour, sugar, and salt in. Then you add these, mix it up, press it with your fingers, no rolling out, and you have a beautiful pie crust that really is ideal for custard pies that you pour in. This is really, really nice for a pumpkin pie as well. I just used the same 1 cup measure that I used to measure the flour with. Pour my half a cup of oil in there, and then I pour in 2 tablespoons of milk. Whisk it with this fork, which I'll also use to prick the pie crust after I get it spread out. And it starts to come together, and it's just the perfect consistency. Hello everybody out there in YouTube land. Today I thought I would take just a minute to talk about a couple of items that I have that are really special to me. Actually, it's more than a couple, because the first item is a rug. Okay, this is a little area rug. It's woven. There it is. Isn't it beautiful? Now you can see it's had some wear and tear, and I'm thinking, I brought it into my studio because I'm thinking about putting it under this end of it under my sewing machine and just stitching it a lot to try to bring these fibers back together. So let me tell you about the history of this rug. Many years ago, over 30 years ago, we lived in Iowa, out in the Midwest, and we worked at a boarding school way out in the countryside in the cornfields. And there was an older lady there, kind of the matriarch of the institution. Her name was Jean, and just a lovely woman, a fascinating woman, so interesting, very intelligent, very forthright, very dear, just a wonderful human being. And she asked me one day if I would like to go with her to see the weaver. Okay, and I wasn't teaching at that time yet. It was our first year there, and so I said yes. Now, the weaver was an older gentleman, not ancient, but older, who had a very large floor loom in his home. I think he only had one, but he may have had more. And he made these wonderful rugs. And they are made, he provided the warp, which is just a white cotton hefty strand, pretty hefty. It must be pretty strong to have lasted. This rug is over 30 years old, and I do wash it in the machine. I had about 6 or 7 of them. I think I might have had to throw one of them away that just came apart altogether. But I've got a blue one, I've got another pink one, and just some multicolored ones. They're of slightly various sizes. Anyway, but the interesting thing is the weft on these rugs are strips of fabric. Well, at the school we all sewed and stuff. This was back in the, sew all your children's clothes and make all your yogurt at home kind of era. We were hippie wannabes. Anyway, we all had fabric, and Jean and I would get together and sit outside. This must have been in the autumn of our first year there. So this was 1995 maybe. And we would sit outside with these long strips of fabric that people had already cut, or maybe Jean had cut, or maybe I cut some of them. And we would hand sew the ends together so that they were not just long strips of fabric, but long, long balls. We would wrap it up like yarn. And we would take these to him, and we would give him the yarn that we had sewn in those long strips. And in exchange, we could get a rug or two, depending on how much of the yarn we brought in. So that's how I acquired these rugs. I don't think I paid for them. I think that I did some of that labor, and Jean was willing for me to go and pick out some. So I've had these, and I love them. They are scrappy, as they say. That's kind of an adjective we use. A little rough and rustic, hard wearing. I think all of, well, no. If you're looking, where's my glasses? If you look at this fabric, let's look at it together. So here are some of the strips of fabric. You can see that one is, it almost looks polyester. It's definitely knit. This one looks like an old sheet or something. I don't think that these were fabric, like nice fabrics. I think these were old clothes. This looks like somebody's pajamas. So does that right there. Some of these look like t-shirts. That white in there could be a t-shirt. But he did a very fine job. See, even that red in there is really pretty. This rug is over 30 years old and has really worn well. I am a person who gets attached to things not because they're fine or expensive, but because they're associated with people in my past. So I associate these rugs not just with Jean, who is a dear friend, but also with the place where we were and the life that we lived there for those years. And so I just wanted to share that with you. That was a floor loom. There's really no reason that anybody couldn't make rugs like this on any kind of a rigid heddle loom as well. Keep reaching for my glasses. There's a little bit of an edge on here, but not much as far as the kind of the binding on the end. And boy, the knots they're worn short over the years. I'll show you this corner. See, they've got a little bit of just a few rows of weaving on the edge to hold everything in. And they've knotted their warp bundles, but look how they've worn away over the years. And then the corner is just kind of disintegrating. And that's what's going to happen, and eventually it will let go and then it'll all come apart. So I might really need to sew some of these spots that are open. Okay, wasn't that pretty? Wasn't that nice? I love those rugs. All right, one more thing I want to share with you. I have right here. It's a pair of scissors. Aren't those great? Now, I like these scissors because they come apart. We always had them in the kitchen, and I thought that they were kitchen scissors, and maybe they are. We always called them the pizza scissors. Thurnauer, Italy. Chrome or Crom. So these were made in Italy. The last time I was in West Virginia, my mother gave these to me because I had mentioned to her how much I liked them. It's mostly just that I remember them as a child. We had pizza every Saturday night, and we had the old Chef Boyardee pizza mix. You remember the ones in the box? That was another time. But these were our pizza scissors, and it was so easy to cut the pizza instead of having to roll it, transfer it onto a cutting board or something. These were great. So she still had these around. And so when she gave them to me, and they have, look at those teeth. That is something else. Anyway, she gave them to me, and I asked her, I said, well, where did you get them? Do you know? It's so important to ask older people a question like that. And she said, oh, they were a wedding gift. A wedding gift. She remembered. But anyway, yeah, a wedding gift. And they were married in 1955. So that's 45 plus 25. So these are 70-year-old pizza scissors from Italy. Now, you know, we're to the stage in life where we don't really need stuff like that as much. It's just Adam and me at home. That might have been more useful 15, 20 years ago, but she was still using them too, because she had a host of grandchildren and always had people over to the house. So, but I thought I would share those with you. Those are just fun stories, nothing more. Thanks.